Welcome to the Thunderstock Show. It is the second episode of 2025, and I am so excited to introduce to you my guest, Benjamin Bachman. Benjamin is a business automation consultant and founder of Identify Solutions LLC, where he specializes in helping companies optimize processes using no-code platforms like SmartSuite, Airtable, and Relay. Benjamin, for one of those guests that needs no introduction,
Man,
you are one of them, the man, the myth, the legend,
yeah,
always
thanks so much.
hustling. Thanks for coming on, man.
Dude, this is the highlight of my day for sure. I'm glad to be here.
It's a little different than doing database management, but I do want to get into that at some point. So
Sure.
for those of you, and I'm assuming the audience is not too familiar with all of my experience, but I met Benjamin, gosh, almost 10 years ago.
Is
Told
it
me to
really that
put it
long? Yeah.
2015, or yes, 2015.
My goodness.
I think. Yeah. Anyway, so
Look how far we've got, man.
we started out as HubSpot boutique agency people,
Yep.
and now we're both owning our own company. So,
Yep.
Benjamin, what is up? Tell me a little bit about your journey from leaving the agency we're both at to
Yeah.
today.
I mean, I feel like it's been like a pinball machine of like bouncing off of opportunities of just like, come over here and try things. My entire life, I feel like I've been a jack of all trades, master of none. But I'm finally learning how to optimize on that. And I think some different experiences around being able to be a doer and then also interfacing with C-suites because I moved on to a larger agency after that that was basically in the education space and kind of sat on the C-suite as a director of marketing. And, the agendas are way different there than when I was the doer when I was working with you in a lot of ways of building things and sites and, like client management and all that stuff like that. But like sitting on the opposite side of the seat of just like, budgets and, new products that we're trying to launch, you're trying to find a way to make the business more profitable and employees, like all those kind of movements. It just stretched a different set of skills, made me learn. And I try to get real curious whenever I step into new spaces that I don't know, instead of kind of bringing my thunder, so to speak, and trying to like, like, okay, I don't know what I don't know. And there's obviously a ton for me to learn here. So went on to that, education agency. That was a great, 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 great experience. And to it. And then I moved on to like completely left field and became a pastor of a church and like stepped into that opportunity for a little while. And it was a great, great experience and all. So then dealing with people, and their needs and community type based items and like what's going on with their lives and stuff like that. So I feel like I've been a little bit all over the place, and now I'm kind of like focused on this new adventure. Always have tinkered along the way with software, and like if I can make something turn on or work, I definitely have that tinkering. Like if it's in the physical world as much it is on the computer for me. Of just like making things happen or building things around the house. I just bought a 3D printer. Like I'm that guy in my 40s. It was a 3D printer, and we're making all kinds of things for the kids and around the house and stuff like that. So it's been a journey, and I think I'm just getting real curious, getting real trying to focus in on pay attention and like learn along the way. I have an appetite to learn, and I'm I just learn, like try to figure it out, and then I turn it and use it on clients when it makes sense, and try to get things done for them.
For those of you that are listening only and not watching this on video, you will notice that Benjamin sounds quite a bit more clear than the average podcast guest. I know that you had experience. You said you were a
Yeah,
pastor at a church, but you had experience working with the audio, video, the
yeah,
AV of these pretty sizable churches.
yeah,
And
yeah,
for those listening, Benjamin has what I would call pretty much best in slot um, microphone and setup really rigged for
yeah.
his home office. So, do you want to discuss a little bit about your journey with tinkering with sound and sites?
Oh my goodness. So I started off as a young pup, like as a drummer and bass player, and moved on to almost playing professionally as that. And like, then I realized, like, as a small person, in the industry, I'm not going to make a lot of money just being like a one-off drummer, one-off bass player on gigs. And I mean, you can make a living, but it wasn't something that I had bigger goals and all. So foolishly, I turned towards audio, and it has become a lifelong passion. Like, I love mixing concerts and big events and stuff like that. I've gotten to mix some incredible artists. This past summer, I went and mixed in Kenya, Lauryn Hill. We did a concert, a Lauryn Hill concert in Kenya, and got to go fly the whole way over there and do a show and stuff like that. So I've definitely gotten to, not dropping big names on purpose, but like I've definitely been able to play with some big boy toys and the whole way down to, mixing some of the large different churches in our area that are, mega churches, and they have all the bells and whistles and tools to get things done. So I definitely love audio. It's like it is definitely one of my children, so to speak. I definitely, my room is full of all kinds of microphones and things, and I'm trying to, constantly learn. And but for me, it was always about interfacing with people and artists, and that's what like I got access to people, and that was what was really the addiction. And so I've definitely been able to do some fun shows, mix some really cool things, and now I kind of like pick things up when it makes sense and try to keep my skills sharp. So yeah, again, I'm master of all trades, like jack of all trades, master of none type thing again.
It seems like the tinkering is a theme though, because
Yeah.
you picked it up just because of a passion and what you were doing with creating music. And I want to ask, are there any crossovers with how you've adopted that
Mm,
skill set with what you're doing now with the database and
100%.
no code solutions? Still
100%. So
engineering, sort
it's
of.
yeah, it's engineering. So for me, it's just about the path, of a microphone getting plugged in on stage, all through all the routing, the whole way through to your console, and then doing things to that path, to influence to come out and sum together largely. So like for me, it's still, path. My whole world's about path driving. Like and just like automation and this happens, and step through this, and then. But mainly the main thing that I learned that is the common ground is the problem solving ability of just like, okay, let's figure out where in the path the thing's broken and to kind of apply that. So my brain is really mapped on trying to like I see it physically in my brain, kind of like when things are wrong, I see all the steps and like where is that, how's it getting to the end point and can I, interface and figure out what's going on. So absolutely that's a great question. And yeah,
And one of
definitely does make sense to me today.
the other sides of that is you're the person that wants to make the sausage while the party enjoys the flavor and taste. Same thing
Sure.
with audio video production.
Sure.
I'm assuming it's the same goal when you're creating these integrations with your clients and
Sure.
their site users. They don't need to know, steps 1 through 90 and how A got to Z, but they
Sure.
can do a seamless experience is
Sure.
same thing with the people that are at a concert. Unless you have the real techno file or the audio file rather, they're not
Right.
going to pick up. They're just like, this sounds great.
Right. Right.
So let me ask you, Benjamin, what are some of the milestones or achievement in your career that you think helped you, maybe were the most impactful or the most
Sure.
learning lessons that either inspired you to get to where you're at today?
I mean, the pain points are really like, moments of pain are something that you can really either, run away from, go and hide, or you can kind of be like, your life approach can be kind of like, I get the opportunity to reach that pain point so I can know what works and doesn't work. And it's always said, and wiser men than me have said, like fail fast, like in your journey and try to do that. And like it sounds all great, plastered on the wall over here on a plaque, but like, going through it, it's pretty emotion. There's a lot of emotions involved in like I'm trying to do that. So I think there's been a lot of my adventures have ended, some of them very painfully, and some of them have been just like trying to learn how to take away what's been the valuable movement through that, see people from like how they also went through that exchange, and kind of hang on to those relationships and try to hear all the sides, get curious about the moments and how they changed. And so I think that every major job that I've had and how it's ended has been as important as day one of
Mm.
how it started. And so like it's like, you can try to go give the situation the middle finger as you're walking away from it, or you can, say like, I'm gonna actually see where do I own my faults in the equation, and how also do I, see what everybody else, has come, what they brought to the table and why it kind of didn't work out. So, I think for me, it's been an awareness. It's something I've learned from my dad over the years of just like his curiosity, to kind of like explore difficult moments. And so I've definitely picked that up from him and been like, okay, like some people when they're in an accident, in a car accident, they, like just like they're freaking out inside. For me, I'm like, okay, is everyone safe? What's going on?
Hmm.
Like, and then after the fact, I'm like a mental wreck. But like, like through it, through the moment, I'm just like, okay, like let me pay attention so I can, I can make the best of this moment. And, so for me, it's a long experiment. I think, and for me also too, I've gotten very lucky. The moments that stand out to me are moments where I've gotten to use my passions, things that I care about, or things that kind of jazz me behind the scenes, and either build that for someone else and let them, when their light bulb goes off. I've just recently had a client that we took pretty deep into the funnel, the services that I offer, and watching them now go from multiple employees down to a couple, and not because they had to, but because they saw opportunity to give more money as a nonprofit. They were able to put more money back towards the goal that they were serving. They saw that as like not only all this software and all this motion, can get us there, and it's been unique to see that. It's like to me, those kind of moments of aha moments of just like like let's go and figure out everything we're going to build, and then let's get it to that summing statement or moment where it's like, okay, there it is. Let's present it. I feel like a child in those moments, like, like, "Dude, check out dad, mom, look what this cool thing that I made, and, look what it can do." And like, isn't it cool? Like we said that statement on the napkin sketch conversation that we want this to do this, and look at, there it is. Like, that's kind of crazy. I can't believe we made that happen. So, I think all those fundamental movements of pain, and also being a kid and just saying like, look what I can build, like look what can make it happen. And I hope that I chase that till I'm, 150 years old, and like that I can keep hunting through that because I'm honestly having fun. At the end of the day, I'm having fun.
It's reminiscent of Thomas Edison. It's, he failed 999 times before his thousandth time to get the light bulb. But
Right.
I would say that he looked at it not as, 999 failures, but 999 ways to not make a light bulb go on. And you take those lessons as empirical, like a stack of proof that, your understanding of the craft and your love of the game really gets compounded because
Mm,
it's just shows deeper understanding. I feel like there's no better teacher than painful experience. I
sure.
sometimes that word is a bit misleading because
Sure.
but really it's what I've found, Benjamin, what I can see in your journey is that when you stick with your passions and you identify that what you care about, you're willing to try more things and take more
Mm,
attempts and learn more faster, which I think mastery is just simply people that have the master has more losses than the loser has ever tried.
yeah.
So moving
Yeah.
on to that,
Well
that's a
said.
bit of hindsight reflection, but one of the questions I have for you is current day, going into the now, what is a challenge today that if you solved it would make you think the most impact in your business or in your clients' lives?
I'm square at the moment of figuring out how to grow, and how to move on, of letting go of me being the doer, and learning how to hand that to other individuals. So I'm at the point where I'm like bringing other people into my dream. And like, it's every entrepreneur fears the moments of just like, will they care enough about my business the way I care about it? Like all the fears that we have around it. But definitely knowing that if I can kick off the next movement of scale, that it is just like I'm just staring it in the face right now, trying to figure out how to move this into a great place. And I think first of the thing I'm trying to figure out too is what is really the core beautiful thing, or like what is our pillars that we stand on. I've had other contractors join me along the journey. I've tried different, tried different outputs. I keep trying different ways of executing the work, to see what will work. But now taking it to a place where I can actually allow others to find those aha moments. And I really want to support other individuals. That's how I see, it's almost my greatest skill set is being able to see the better in others. And I just definitely I want to face that and change that up in the upcoming future.
So it's funny how mostly all problems boil down to, they start with people,
Mm,
process, technology, and you've had experiences in your career both with the nonprofit side and ministry, and also being
right.
on a director seat, C-suite, where you've had to do the people. Now it's, I would assume you're at an impasse with hey, now it's for my organization that I started. This is a fun new set of challenges. I think you stick with it and you keep the same mentality and the same work ethic you have, it'll all come into play. That's really exciting. I love hearing entrepreneurs hit that stage of growth. It really gets
Right,
me jazzed up.
right.
What is something that you found different working from the nonprofit and the service base,
Hmm.
ministry versus for-profit organizations? Like, what are some of the things they have in common with what you do, and what are some of the things that stand out?
Yeah, so like, a for-profit company is thinking about the goals are to make cash, and it is normally a goal of some type of service. People are trying to do good, but they're doing it through the filter and the lens of economic growth. And so they're making decisions around the boardroom table, around the family, company. They're making those decisions up through it. With the nonprofit, it's more of an approach of lots of individuals with care trying to come together and bring their collective skill sets to the table, but they all have a voice into it. And it's completely different interfacing with both of them. Sometimes, in the for-profit, there's a more clear lines to who is the boss and who gets to say like what the thing we're building is. And then, with nonprofits, it's kind of like it can be community based, it can be board based. I could be working with one individual, but the one individual really isn't. They still are like trying to sum together everybody's approach on meeting the common goal of whatever that nonprofit, is serving, or, and then there's agendas sometimes that aren't so clear because, there's lots of people trying to bring together their efforts to make that happen. I have enjoyed both spaces, so to speak, and I've learned from both spaces, and both of them can influence the processes that I take each other through. And so the nonprofit has taught me how to bring people in a room and ask good questions around the around the group and try to get out of those folks like what are the things that make their job better, easier? How do they look good to their boss? How do they look good to serving the things? Is it really the scratch on the back when they meet the goal of the nonprofit? Or is it, or like, why are they at the table at the moment? And then the other side, like, so it's learning that big group type conversation. And then sometimes it's just like, well, we need a decision now. And that's what I've learned from the other side of the coin, of just for-profit individuals of just like, well, we got to make this decision. It's okay to make this decision, but we can measure often and learn from that decision and recalculate if we need to. And just, make steps along the way. Like, let's close the door, let's all get on a goal, and let's figure out where we're going. So, it's great. Sometimes those decisions are costly, but like, because we made a direction we didn't know it was coming down the pipeline. But I definitely can see both sides have taught me how to have the conversation better with each side.
Almost from two, I don't want to say polarizing perspectives, but one perspective of leading with your heart and care, and the other
Hmm.
perspective of keeping profits and efficiency and shareholder value in mind, and being like, look, you can learn from each perspective, and they complement and can add value to one another. That's
Yeah.
a pretty interesting take on that. I haven't thought of it that way.
Yeah.
So, Benjamin, what I want to focus on the nitty gritty of the business before I ask you another high level question.
Yeah. Let's go.
What are some misconceptions, or what are some things that people should know about building these no code solutions?
I mean, they really are they're often, they're no joke as a tool that like people think that they're kind of like, we're just building these low, systems of something, but sometimes they can actually outpace or outperform very niche based, software packages built for, a specific vertical. They do have a wide variety of tools that allow you to kind of take and build on them, to execute what you're trying to do. But some people think that it's because it's called no code, low code, that it's, it can't stand up to like, a major player or major piece of software that exists out there today. I think what I think the thing, the terminology around that's built around it is now is like there are $100,000 deals done to build stuff on these platforms. They're not like it's not like a joke, on just like what is being executed on them. And with multiple people interfacing with these tools and big teams of 50, 60, 70 people functioning and knowing how to do their jobs. And there's an issue of scale, that this thing lives within. It's definitely an MVP product of like, let's build for the first, 10, 12, $15 million of a company. But past that, you may want to bring your own dev house in and, make a specific grit of software that's doing it. But there's a lot of misconception around like how much it can do and what it can do. The thing that's fascinating for me is watching the people who build these tools are building tools so that builders can say yes in moments a lot. And that's the goal of it. We want to say, yeah, we want to say, yes, we can do that thing that you dreamed up that your other tool can't do in a particular CRM or project management tool. Like it can't do that. Can we do that? And they're building these tools to say yes to that. And so they're trying to release feature sets that kind of broadly protect the bigger tool and the tool set, but also allow for major amounts of freedom inside of that. So there's a lot of misconception on what can be done with inside these tools, and I think it surprises me what we build to the end, beginning to the end. Every single build I've done, it's been surprising. It's just like, oh wow, I didn't know that we could come out and actually really have this amazing process play out and eliminate tons of hours of employees doing it and allowing employees to focus back on human interaction again versus, them doing the AI tasks over and over again themselves. And so like, I'm definitely learning that it is more powerful. And I also see, a huge industry opening to this and people, being more open armed and to what can be done with no code solutions. So, it's, it's just moving in really, really powerful directions of the big landscape right now is will a tool talk to another tool? And if it will do that in some kind of way with a clean API, then it's just getting like we can build some really amazing things.
Benjamin, I know you're an Apple product enjoyer.
Uh,
I'm
I
I'm
did just go buy
feeling,
a couple things at the end of the year to have a write-off, so I
but
get
I'm
it.
feeling like there's a correlation between the no code versus this custom code between Apple and the
For sure.
PC or Android, where
For
you have
sure.
your enthusiast of oh, I'm going to build my own PC and get all these custom pieces. I'm going to figure it out and tinker and make it all work. Or you get an Apple out of the box, you turn it on, you can use it.
You can use it
And it
today.
seems like to your user experience, the people that would require your help or benefit, they might be Apple people. I would guess. They're like,
Right.
hey, do the complicated thing behind the scenes, make it seamless, make it
Right.
do what I need it to do so I can figure it out and not need to read a 100-page instruction manual to get this complicated output through complicated inputs and like make it work for me. That is
Right.
something that is, you know, Apple is here to stay. And I think they really proved from a marketing standpoint to not just consumers, but to businesses that simplicity beats clever.
Yeah.
And, I think your innovation is, right in line with that thought.
One of my favorite automations we built recently was it, is for meetings. When I'm having a meeting with someone on the calendar, it's like, I normally collect an email address of that person I'm meeting. I've never met this person before. Like I've got a cold lead coming in to meet with me because they submitted a form on my website. And what it does is it goes and it finds that individual on LinkedIn, all the social platforms out there that have access to that user via an email address, if that is public, Facebook, like the ones that are, if a person has allowed that to happen. And it goes and scrapes all that information and then sums it all up in a summary about the individual personal stuff. I had the prompt writing, like, tell me some personal things about the individual football teams they like, everything they, like different things, kids, do they have kids? Do they, like stuff like that. And then, on LinkedIn, what's their experience? Sum that up into like 2 paragraphs and give that back to me and have that show up in a Slack message right before my meeting with the easy link to click on to start that meeting, and then also launch a document, in Coda or in Notion that I could take notes on, whatever, and plug all that data right on that Notion document, so I have it all ready to go. Then through that whole call, I'm using Otter and stuff like that to record, that, and it's taking notes and it's then putting that transcript back on that same document with the tasks that were declared by that AI the whole way through. And it just takes this like, I never had that. That would take a whole entire personal assistant for me to, do that. And I probably pay him for almost a day's wage, to execute all those things. And that happened in a matter of milliseconds through it, And so I'm just seeing like crazy cool things like come up, and that's the simplicity you're talking about. It's like, can it just show up right before a meeting and ping me on Slack, and I just sit there and read for 2, 3 minutes before I actually pick it up, and I feel like I have better human connection with this individual. And if you can lean into somebody right away, about what they're all about, then you definitely are winning already. So it's great.
Collecting and organizing data to facilitate better human connection. Love that so much. So, Benjamin, I'm
I'd
going to
buy the
ask you
t-shirt.
I'm going to ask you a question that's not tactical in nature but at all, but at the end
Let's
of the
go.
day, it's the question I love the most, and which is the grandfather paradox. If you could converse with your 80-year-old self and your 8-year-old self, what would you say?
Man, I remember my 8-year-old self being really curious. Like we built swords in the backyard, and me and my brother fenced. And like conversations around like how much fun was that? Like we had lots of fun as kids. My parents did a great job of like making life seem like a big adventure. I would hopes that if I could turn around and have the same conversation with my 8-year-old self. Are you still playing? Are you still having fun? Are you still fencing with your brother? Are you still, is it still like, are you having fun along the way? And, like there's a curiosity as a kid that you have that sometimes it's like unscratchable. Like you just like, I'm gonna go, what's under that rock? Like, and you pull out
Mhm.
the slug and then you're like, what's it taste like? Like, and you're just trying to, you're taking all the steps that you probably shouldn't take, through it. And then days later, you're dealing with the slug. But like, I think I hope as an 80-year-old, I hope that, if you were to sit across from me on the, on the rocking chairs, on the porch, like does your life look different in a way that you saw lots of fun and curiosity through it? And I mean like big differences, not just the typical I'm sitting in an old folks home. Like, do you see differences on the wake of, all those things?
Stay curious, keep having fun. Love that. Well, Benjamin, that is going to wrap up for our talk today. Where can people find you, get in touch if they're finding themselves needing some operational integrations and really want
Yeah.
to upscale their current tech stack? How can people
Yeah.
get a hold of you?
So www.identify.solutions is the home base where you can do that. But more importantly, and on there I have 200 automations that can be built on Relay for you to grab. It's totally free. I'm not even going to take your email address. Just go check them out. And so you can kind of learn what I'm all about and how I build. And so go explore them, go check them out. So like that's a fun thing you can take today and walk away with. And go build some automations and tell me what you built. Tell me all the cool stuff you made happen. But and then more importantly, you find me on LinkedIn. I my DM is always on my screen with LinkedIn. So like I have folks that, just reach out, say hi. And I would love to I'd love to know about you and talk to you one on one. So find me Benjamin Bachman on LinkedIn. And yeah, I'd be grateful to chat with you.
That's it for today's episode, everyone. Hopefully, this was a valuable brainstorm to enhance your life, living, pursuit of property. I know it was for me. I had fun. Mission accomplished. I don't run ads in the show, nor do I ever intend on doing so. So if you enjoyed it, it would mean the world to me to share it with a friend. Thank you for listening and be well.